Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the Millennial Entrepreneur Channel. My name is Alan Parcero, and I will be the host of this show.
Hey guys, my name's Carla Marcilia. I'm doing production and editing for our show.
Pretty much what this channel, the Millennial Entrepreneur Channel, consists of, it's pretty much going and hearing backgrounds and stories of millennial entrepreneurs, what challenges they faced, and we hope to help others in their journey through life and business. So today we'll be discussing my background as our first video and how I came about and how this channel became about.
Just so you know, we are at a park right now. We tried to set it up at Alan's place, but we couldn't really find a spot in there. So we just said, fuck it, let's just walk down the street to a local park and set up shop.
And plus, it's a nice day outside too. It's like first couple days of spring, so it's nice.
So you might hear, some kids playing, some birds chirping, but it's okay. It adds to the ambiance. Yeah, the ambiance. All right. So today's episode, I'm going to be hosting it because today is going to be about Alan. So I'm going to be asking him the questions, and we're just going to chop it up from there.
Yeah. So let's just jump right into it. Maybe we should give a little bit of background of how we've met, our friendship. Kind of let's rewind time a little bit.
Okay.
And base it off of that. So pretty much, how did we meet, Carla? I honestly don't even remember how we met. Honestly, it's been so long since I don't even remember how we actually physically first met. I can remember how we were hanging out, starting to hang out, but it's that initial, I think it's just from the car meets back then, right? Like Lime Night days?
I can totally agree with you on that because I can't remember the exact moment on how we met or where we met, but I know it was through friends. And because we were in the automotive industry as enthusiasts, modifying Hondas and going to car meets,
the whole JDM scene.
Yeah, the whole JDM scene, your 90s, 2000s scene, with cars and everything.
It was cool. That's when, street racing and back then was huge. And at our time, it was crazy because there was a meet every damn day of the week.
Yeah.
And
every weekend, we were always at car meets.
Yeah, every weekend, even during the week too, specifically. And it's just crazy, how we went from going to that stage in life to now. It's just back then we barely hung on to jobs. Our whole group of friends out of maybe 10 plus people at the time. Yeah. None of us had stable jobs. I mean, some of us did, but
they weren't careers.
They weren't careers
or anything we felt worth keeping for decades at a time.
All the money just went straight into cars.
It was dude, we need to find a job, make some money, and dump it into our cars. Yeah. That was our lifestyle.
Exactly. And from there, we rolled with that for a long time, and then I don't know, there's just one memory that sticks out the most for me, and I tell this to everybody. There was one point, I don't know what time it was maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, right? Or something like that. Carlo came over to my house and we kind of had a heart to heart, and it was funny because that was 6 years ago, maybe 6+ years ago. It has to be more than that.
More than that.
And then we were just talking about dude, it's you had an epiphany, and we're dude, we're gonna be successful one day. Yeah. Or we're gonna work on something that's completely not even related
to what we're doing now. What we're doing at the time.
Yeah. It was just a bunch of ideas, and I was just dude, and we just had a heart to heart, and we kind of just went from there. Yeah. And fast forward now, look where we are now. We're creating our first video, and and just rolling with it.
We just doing it.
Yeah, doing it. Yeah,
just
definitely.
doing what we find exciting to us.
Yeah.
For me, it's cinematography and photography, and I turned that into a business of mine, and then it was all for fun. And then for you,
everything was for fun.
Yeah, it was all for fun.
Everything
was just for hobby.
Yeah, we were just a bunch of kids, just cars, and that was it. That was life. Cars were life. That was it. Nothing else really mattered at the time. Just went from there, and but yeah, that memory really stands out to me the most because literally I feel that was one of the the point in my life where I just it's going to finally a different direction, from where we were before and stuff like that. So
and it's pretty crazy to think, looking back, all the things we've done is and stuff like that, and then how did we get here?
It's crazy. Right now we're in that point in time, that point in life where it's just all our friends, just a couple of them having kids already, you know, and then, you know, I just got recently engaged.
I just got engaged.
Yeah. And then like other friends of ours are getting married and stuff like that. So we're just in that adult transitionhood of like, you know, trying to find out who we are at the same time. You know, it's definitely weird.
Yeah.
It's definitely a weird transition, you know, especially coming from our background that we had. It was just cars, nothing, that was it. Nothing else mattered, to like, oh, wow, it's like we actually have business mindsets that we were working on that we didn't even know back then. You know, like you know, what I like to go back on a lot is that a lot of my hustle I learned from, you know, I used to be into sneakers, like, you know, Nikes, Jordans, you know, Nike SBs and all that stuff, and buying and flipping. I think that's where my whole hustle nature kind of came from, is just like hustling, selling shoes here and there, buying and trading, and then moving on to eventually cars and buying and selling car parts and cars itself, whatnot, and here we are, making a career out of it, hustling.
Right.
Just hustling.
I don't know what to explain. Like when people ask me, like, you know, what do you do? Like, to be honest, like, I don't know. Like, I would say, oh, I do videography and photography, right, for me. But then at the same time, like, but that's not all I do. You know, like, I'm over here trying to sell coffee on the side. I'm just trying to sell. We're just trying to hustle. Just trying to make any dollar I can.
And that's another thing too that I want to stress on too, is that like nowadays, I mean, you know, we live in California, so to live in California obviously it's expensive. It's expensive. Yeah. It's literally an expensive place to live in. You know, and the thing is that when you're in entrepreneurship, is that you can't have only one source of income. It's almost impossible. Yeah. You have to have multiple platforms of sources of income, and I highly suggest, like, you know, yes, if you're working on your current business right now, you got to have a side hustle. You have to, you know, just something to kind of fall back on, or, you know, build at the same time, you know, to create multiple forms of income. That's really, really important as far as entrepreneurship, is that, you know, you're going to run into times where you're going to have to, like, you know, this business is failing, so you got to take money out of this business and pour it into this business, you know, and work back and forth.
But even then, like, I feel like even if you're working a 9-to-5 job, a regular job, it's still nice to have a side hustle, like on the weekend, right? Exactly. I mean, imagine like you're making your weekly, bi-weekly income. Then on top of that, you're doing something on the side that you enjoy, and you're making an extra $200-300, you know, on a weekend. So imagine that's an extra like $1,200 a month if you were to make $300 a week every weekend. Like that can pay for car bills, insurance, cell phone, whatever.
All that stuff.
Right. Instead of like just, you know, chilling at home on the weekends doing whatever it is, you know, you do, like, apply that energy into, you know, trying to create something that's worth valuable to others that people would pay for.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much. So we're kind of, that's a little bit background and intro on us, and Carlo and I, we go back, you know, way back when, 10 plus years friendship now. So, you know, it's a good feeling to, you know, be at this stage in my life and, you know, still hold on to those small little friendships that I have, you know, and I'm truly grateful for it, you know.
I'm grateful too, like to have you as a friend still. You know, over the years. There's a period of time where I went missing for a while just because I was so focused on just a couple of years.
Well, I was still doing the car shit, you know.
But, and like I pulled back because I was, you know, just trying to figure myself out, what I wanted to do, and just working.
And you went from
there. And then just literally recently, we just started hanging out again.
Like
more late last year, right? Prior to that, it was just occasional texts like, "Hey, what's up?
How's it going?"
How
small
been?
touch, touching base with each other here and there. But it was just like from there, I was like, you know, actually, it was, you know, going back on, you know, on our friendship and whatnot, is just like, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, and I fucking hate that word for, you know, honestly, I hate that word because it's so oversaturated, and, you know, a lot of people believe that they are entrepreneurs when necessarily they're not, in a sense. You know, but we'll go back on that later down the line, on our later videos. But yeah, going back on our friendship is just like within my age group, or, you know, out of my group of friends, and, you know, I'm back up, out of my group of friends, literally, like, it's, I think you and only a very, very small handful is that we can actually look at business in a different mindset, in a different aspect. So
what do you mean by that?
And what I mean by that is just like, you know, I felt like you had, you know, I wanted to be surrounding myself with like-minded individuals. You know, I'm not aiming high. I'm not going to go try to form a relationship or a friendship, with a big time big shot, stuff like that. No, I wanted to have someone my age that we can kind of bounce back and forth on, and you were just the perfect candidate for that. You're like, I've known you. I know there's a level of respect and love and trust, between you and I. So it was just like, you know what, I need this guy back on my team. Like, we need to have each other. Not necessarily to leverage myself, but leverage off of each other. And that's definitely why I appreciate our friendship a lot.
How did you get into entrepreneurship?
Yikes!
Like, how long ago?
Okay.
Yeah. What got you started?
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna rewind up back up a little bit. I worked retail my whole life. I've been in retail, probably 10 plus years. I worked at this automotive place for my last job was an automotive place. I was selling like aftermarket car parts and whatnot. And how it started was my mom, she texted me randomly one day, and she was just like, hey, how would you feel for working for me? And mind you, my mom was already been in real estate for 15 plus years, and she actually was like, hey, I want you to learn this business. My sister wasn't in that mindset of like, I wanted to do my own business and be a subcontractor or whatnot, or freelance, whatever. She's just like, I liked having a boss and working 9 to 5. Opposite on my end, that was me too, but my mom texted me literally, hey, like, if I can match your pay, what you're getting paid now, would you mind joining me? At the time, I was really hesitant because I was like, wow, like, I'm about to be, not necessarily a business owner, but I'm literally about to go into a work field where it's not a stable pay. Yeah. Like, and I know that.
Before you continue, let me ask you, how old were you then? So the audience knows your age.
I was 20, let me see, I'm 28 now. This is back when I was around roughly 23, 24. Yeah, so around about to be 24, so about 4 years ago. So I started in entrepreneurship about 4 years ago, if you want to put it that way. But yeah, my mom texted me pretty much saying, if I can match your pay, would you work for me? So I was like, okay, at least there's still pay. She's going to match what I'm getting. But let's go with it. I need something new. I've been there for 3.5 years. I'm ready for something new. Let's do it. Because at the time, it was rough, dude. Literally, like, this is the time where my girlfriend and I were getting a little bit more serious in a relationship, and I needed a career. That's when I really sat back, and I'm like, what? I kind of weighed out the pros and cons. Like, okay, if I stay at this job, is there any room for improvement or growth? Can I get to a next level as far as a different position? At that company, at the time, no. Considering they were still not necessarily a startup company, but they were still a small family-owned business company. So there wasn't not really too much room for advancement for me there. So then at that point, that's when I looked into real estate, to join my mom. And I went from there. It's just like, let's try it out. And she took me around. I kind of shouted her and, did all of her assistant tasks and her clerical tasks, administration, and all that stuff, or prospecting for just to, kind of get my feet wet in the industry, and that's how it started. We went from there. I was kind of like, not necessarily forced into entrepreneurship, but I definitely was not expecting a lot out of the whole entrepreneur business and whatnot. I was one who wasn't really prepared for it. But
so when you went into this, you weren't expecting entrepreneurship? You're just like, okay, it's
I was
a job.
still on that paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. I want that paycheck. Right. From the hours I put in. Right. That's that was my mindset. So because I was still in, like I said, again, going back on, I've been in retail for 10 plus years. So that's what I went through. So I was like, that's all I was expecting. I was just chasing the money at the time, not knowing the ins and outs of it. From there, and that's how I got started about 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Nice. Okay. So within those 4 years, at what point in time did you decide, like, I'm an entrepreneur now, or like this is the direction I'm going to be heading?
Okay. 8 months ago.
8 months ago.
8 months ago.
Okay.
And that's solely because my mother passed away 8 months ago. So
sorry,
thank you. It's June of last year, 2018. That's 8 months ago is really when it was just like, okay, the business is in my hands now. You're a business owner, and it just fully fucking set in. It just set in.
Yeah.
But I've been in this industry for almost 4 years now. but as an entrepreneur, when I actually felt it, in my control, was about 8 months ago.
Yeah. And that was when she passed, and then you were like next in line to take over.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And continue what she was working on.
Yeah, exactly. Because at that point in time, it was just like it's not necessarily that I wanted to do it, because honestly, I didn't. We have that business is just like, do you really want to take on all the responsibilities of this task? Because there's a lot of it that you don't know.
Yeah.
The only thing you know is the busy work. You don't know the actual ins and outs of actually being an entrepreneur. Because I still relied on my mother a lot. She was the one that was bringing the income in. I was just assisting, helping her do that, instead of me having to physically go out and look for my own leads now.
So she had like all the knowledge, all the information on like running that business.
Definitely.
And then when that moment happened, you were kind of just like thrown in deep end.
Oh yeah, it was a rough time in my life. Honestly, it was probably one of the darkest moments and darkest paths I've ever been. I've been through. At that point in time, he's like, we're building a business. Our business wasn't great at the time. I mean, if anything, we still wasn't turning a profit yet. On top of the grievance of my mother at the same time. It's like kind of balance both at the same time, and while trying to fill so many roles.
Yeah, that sounds extremely difficult.
It was. It was insane. So, but this is why we're talking about it. Kind of give you a background about who I am and my story about it, and hopefully our viewers can kind of pick and choose a takeaway from it that kind of works in their favor. So. Yeah, so that's about 8 months ago.
8 months.
8 months ago.
Okay.
8 months ago.
So like after that happened, like what did you start having to do when you took role of as the owner?
Me, I'm more of I've always been like go with the flow type person. I was never plan this, plan that, figure it out. I figured it out as it happened.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that. Honestly, I'm thankful for that, because it taught me so much about what entitles and the roles and responsibilities you take on as a business owner. And a lot of people, outside of entrepreneurship, don't see that. Is that when you're your own boss, you're literally playing multiple roles, and you take
full responsibility, full accountability for everything that happens in your business.
Definitely.
Like if some shit goes wrong, like you're the person that's gonna have to deal with it.
Exactly.
No one else.
Yeah, that's on me. So it was a hard point in my life, but with that being said, is just like I wouldn't be the person I am 8 months later down the line, present day, without those struggles. So I'm actually glad I went through that, because I learned through it. A lot of people mistaken is that like when you fail, they don't use that as learning lessons. They don't use that as learning curves. They just simply drop it and throw it away.
Right.
I honestly believe that whatever business that anybody's in, it only fails if you're not working. Right. Literally.
If you allow it to fail.
If you allow it to fail. Like say you're working on a specific strategy or tactic. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're failing. That just means that you're trying to weed out those tactics. That's all it is. That okay, that tactic didn't work. Try a different tactic. Try a different strategy.
What doesn't work.
Exactly.
And then keep what
and
does
keep
work.
Going. Yeah. Keep going and rolling with it. And go from there. It's and that's what I've learned a lot. Especially coming from, going back on our on how we met. Through cars and stuff like that. It's like there was probably like 2 or 3 years in my life. Probably like I would say 2.5 years, where I was just like. Literally just side hustling as my main source of income. I was working from home. I was like working on people's cars and whatnot, selling car parts and all that stuff. That was my little business that I had, and I learned a lot from that because I learned how to struggle. I learned how to work with $100 in my pocket. I learned how to work with $50 in my pocket. I made it work. If I can do that in, at that point in time, why not carry that trait in that lesson I learned into my business now? You know what I mean? And that's going on in financials. Like a lot of entrepreneurs are not prepared to take a huge financial hit, even when you're failing. A lot of people back out when you're failing. yeah, and we'll get to that, I guess.
So tell us about your biggest failures you've had and how you overcame it, or did you just say, fuck that, I'm not gonna do it no more, or did you move past it?
So when you talk about failures and stuff like that, I don't really necessarily look at them as failures. They're just, like I said, going back on it, they're just learning curves for me. It's just specifically telling you, okay, that doesn't work, move on to a different tactic, but as far as the failures, I mean, I'm gonna go, I don't have a specific pinpoint failure that I have, because like I said, they're learning curves for me. But I would stress, like, probably the biggest form is, and this goes for a lot, is just self-care, self-love. That was the hardest thing for me, because at that point it's just like, you go back on, you try to find these quotes and those motivational quotes to help you spark up your interest again. And I got a lot from that. When my mom passed, literally I got to work probably a month after. That whole month was just like trying to find myself, trying to get myself stable enough to have a good mindset to start working.
And just speaking like mentally wise.
Mentally wise. Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, going through the agreements with my mother, dealing with all this tasks and stuff like that from the business, it's just like, even my own employees at the time were like, are we still gonna have a job in a month? So I thought about them more than I thought about myself. That's normal for me. And, over the course of time, literally I doubled my mom and I's business within a matter of 2.5 months. Because I was grinding, trying to set up all these little, whatever small leads I can, I pounced on it, I attacked it, and literally I got, within that 2 months, so like my mom passed away in June, that whole month of June and a little bit of July, I was in a slump, and after that, the following month after that, that's when I got busy and got down to work. And when I got down to work, that 2.5 months right before December, I made a goal with myself. I was like, you know what, I'm going to double our business before the end of the year, 2018. I'm going to end strong. It was a really shitty year already as it is. I'm going to end as strong as I can. And I did. We got all these clients, I was like, wow, I literally took a toll of an entrepreneur, someone's work within a year span, literally within 2 months. Because that was my focus. It's like, I had to take care of my employees. The reason why I say take care of my employees is because I have a call center business, and it's outsourced in the Philippines. My uncle is the operations manager. I have a cousin who is a president. She's located in Toronto, Canada. And my business is built in a rural area of the Philippines. There's not too many job opportunities there. So in a sense, I'm helping the community out. And when that's put onto your plate, it's like, okay, there's a lot of people depending on you. You have to do this. Right. Because not only are you, creating a business for yourself, but you're creating opportunity for people in a poor area. Right. So a lot of people are counting on me. And at the time, that was my driving force, is to make, to take over my mom's role and, take care of our people, take care of the people in our town, because my mom's so built on family, and the people are in the community that she grew up in. She has that impact, our family, the Tolentino family, has that impact on people. Every year, my grandmother, she cooks for like over 200 people every Holy Week. For Holy Week during when Easter comes. So it's like that was my hand in it. I kind of found my calling is like, okay, I have to help these people too. It's just innate. It's embedded in my family. It's embedded in me. Like I'm helping people and also creating a business out of it. Right. So it's a win-win for me. Right.
So can you say that you're not driven by the money? You're driven, by essentially like your ethics.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, helping people.
Yeah. Because money's great. I'm not gonna lie. People are lying to you when they say, "Oh, I'm not doing it for the money." That's complete bullshit. Because in a sense, you are. Yeah. But that's not my main focus. My main focus is to help others. I have a marketing business, for God's sake. This is what I do for a living. I help people. Either expand their business or create more value in their business and whatnot and so forth. So that's my calling. That's what I work. That's why I work. Is to help people. Right. Yeah. But at the same time, when I help people, it's helping myself, because that's going back on the self-love and self-care. I'm gonna stress a little bit more on that. Is that there's this one quote that someone told me, and I forget where it comes from, but they told me that you have to love yourself in order to love others, or else you're just a hypocrite, because you're gonna eventually fail. And you know, I'm thinking I'm probably gonna lead up to your next question for you, but what I mean by that is that I hit a point in you know, that 2 month span where I was grinding. Like I said, remember, I doubled our business within 2 months. You know, and from that time I hit another slump. After that 2 months, so December came. December was a really good month for me. After December, that, you know, going into January, I hit a nasty slump again. You know, going back on, like, you know, like, I'm tired, you know, I've been putting in like only 4 hours, working on 4 hours of sleep, but pulling 16+ hour days and
so
stuff like that.
like burnt out.
Burnt out. But I was like trying to find the reason why I was burnt out, and then that's what I kind of realized, is that I'm not focusing on myself. I need to love myself too, in order to give love and help to others. So that's what was huge to me. You know, you know, the whole teaching your mindset and putting your heart in the right place. That alone is a huge factor for running a business. You know, you have to love yourself, and you have to take care of yourself in order for your business to expand and grow later down the line, if you want longevity. You know, so that's huge. That's huge. Yeah,
but
so
there's also that level of self-awareness for you to even have figured out why you were feeling the way you were.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, exactly. But the thing is that I fixed those through simply just working again, but knowing people on a different basis. You know, like, you know, finding out their stories. You know, before this channel, this is exactly what I was doing. I was trying to, like, you know, the current clients that I had, I was trying my best to try to tap into their, you know, how are they making themselves? How are they happy? And then I use that to kind of put it in my own sense. You know, every time my goal, every time I meet a potential client or a new client, my goal is to kind of get a takeaway from there and how I can use it towards my own self.
So you kind of ask for their story as well, right?
Exactly. So, but like I said, mental health, all that stuff, it's key. It's key, because if you don't focus on that, you don't care. If you don't focus on your self-love, you don't focus on your mentality and your mindset, your business is gonna last no more than a year, guaranteed.
But even I feel like even outside of business, even in your personal life, having that
it carries over well.
Mindset,
it carries over really
important.
well. Because I have a lot of cousins. I have a huge family, and my sister and I are the oldest of our cousins. So at that point in time, it's like I create this sense of, you know, leadership role in a sense, you know, and it transitions both back in business and personal life. So there's a lot of things that correlate and interrelate with each other, as far as like running a business and having your own personal life in order.
Right. Because having a solid mindset, you know, is important.
It's
imagine
huge.
having
it's
a
huge.
family with kids and everything. You have to have like a straight mindset, you know, or how do you deal with work and your personal life stresses, you know, without having a proper mindset to be able to deal with that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Totally agree.
So then having a business is just added on top of that. So you have to really learn.
Yeah, you really have to learn. You really have to learn
yourself.
how to control yourself, because your mind is a very, very powerful thing.
They say your mind can destroy you. And then it can. Also
if you don't know how to harness it or figure out how to harness it, then, you know, it's hard. Definitely hard. You know, and for me, being the ignorant dickhead that I am, after my mother passed, I didn't want to do any of that, you know, counseling thing or anything like that. Till this day, I still haven't seeked out counseling. You know, I know I should, but I think I'm at a mindset and have gone through enough and built the relationships that I have. Without those, I wouldn't be the person I am today, for sure. So I kind of seeked counseling through my loved ones instead of an actual person that doesn't know my background. You know, I'm not trying to knock any of their business as far as counseling. Like, of course, I highly, you know, suggest counseling. You know, because
so you can say it's not for everyone.
But it's not. But for me, personally, I built it through something else. You know, I built my counseling through, like, again, my family, my personal relationships, my business relationships and whatnot. I kind of use those as self-care. Counseling for myself. So
that's awesome.
Definitely, it's it's not easy, by the way. It's really fucking hard, but it's not impossible, for sure. Not impossible. Wow. You just have to have, like I said, just be surrounded by like-minded individuals. That alone will help you grow. That's a counseling thing on its own without even noticing.
In all of this, like, you know, me, I believe there has to be some type of, like, force allowing you to do what you do, right? I like to call it like driving force. So like what drives you to do what you do. So for you, what's your driving force?
That's a juicy one. Yeah. Okay. I have a long-term client that I've been dealing with for a while. Her name is Amanda Zito, and if you're watching this, Amanda, I owe a lot of this to you. She taught me this circle of influence, right? You have to have 5 people in your circle of influence. It can be anybody, but I took that idea and I kind of made it into my own. Yes, everyone's driving forces, either their parents, their kids, and whatnot. But I kind of took that concept and went deeper into it, and actually gave like not necessarily rules, but what they taught me. So in that 5 circle of influence, I have my mother, I have my sister, I have my grandmother, I have my dad, and I have Amanda Zito, my mentor. So I'm gonna break it down for you. Going back on my sister. My sister, she taught me struggle. If that's a weird one, she taught me struggle. I'll go deeper into that. She taught me struggle. My mother taught me patience. My grandma taught me hustle. My dad taught me hard work and consistency. And Amanda, she is a mentor of mine that I hold deeply to my heart, because honestly, without her, outside of my my family and my fiance, she's played a huge role on helping me expand my business.
So is she a business mentor or life mentor? Like
both.
Both.
She's a combination. Yeah, she's a combination of both. And out of that circle of influence of that 5, it's they taught me a lot. They taught me, like I said, they have their own individuals and how they taught me, right. And that's huge. So I highly encourage everybody to have a 5-person circle of influence and kind of depict on what they do for you. So that's huge. Those are my driving forces.
Like kind of understand how they influence you as a person, right?
Yeah, and this is outside of everything else. I'm not saying that my fiance and the future family that I may have later down the line, I'm not saying that they're not my driving forces.
Yeah.
But that's a given.
Yeah.
That's a given. It's like they should be driving forces regardless of the matter. So it's not necessarily a circle of influence for me.
Yeah.
That's more of like, okay, it's happening. That's just my lead role as a as a provider, a father, or a husband.
Right.
That's normal. I mean, you have to do those things. So like I said, not to not include my fiance in my circle of influence, but yeah, that she plays her own role, and that's a completely separate topic.
Right. And I'm sure she's aware of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would have not put a ring on it if I didn't know.
Yeah.
So that's a given for sure.
Okay. So let's go back to your number 1, which is your sister.
Yeah.
What did she teach you, and how did she teach you?
She taught me struggle.
Right.
Because obviously she's, like I said, going back on my past experiences and like that, she was pretty much the only one that can relate to me the most, as far as not only one that she's my sister, but we both lost the same mother. Right. And she taught me struggle, because I saw her up and down. I saw her having her dark days and whatnot, so that taught me how to struggle at the same time emotionally. So if I see that struggles, I know already as a brother how to relieve those. Right. And if I'm relieving those struggles for her, then I should be doing that for my own self.
Right.
Make sense? So she taught me the struggle. She taught me pain.
And do you think that's important to know?
Yes, because you have to be aware. Yeah, definitely. Because a lot of people will look at pain and losses, and they won't use that as a motivator to continue on.
Some people might just hold on to the pain and just like stay.
Yeah, and it's gonna crush you. It will. It will. So definitely, love my sister a lot.
Nice. So you're saying like you have to learn how to channel that energy essentially, and turn it into like a positive outcome. Yeah. Gotcha. And your number 2?
It was not in no specific order, but my number 2, my grandmother taught me how to hustle. That's all my if it wasn't for my grandma, I wouldn't be here right now. Okay. Honestly, because she was born in the Philippines, born and raised. She raised my mother in the Philippines and my uncle as well. And without her hustle in the textile industry, the fabric industry, then I wouldn't be here standing. But she's always been a hustler. She's whether if it was doing fabric. We had back then we had a Disney account, and for Disney we literally made props for Disney. So like
I remember seeing that in your garage, all the fabric. I always, I think I remember you told me once like what it was, but I never understood what it was. We cut fabric and made a lot of bunches like small props and stuff like that for a lot of Disney characters at the time. And then she moved on to we had that business running. It was called AMA, doing that whole fabric thing. And her side hustle was jewelry. Jewelry. So she was in the jewelry business for a long time, and now she's, man, I'm sorry, Grandma, I don't even know how old you are, but I know you're you're still young to me, so age doesn't matter. Yeah. But she's still hustling today. She's like doing the whole real estate thing in the Philippines now. Oh, really?
Yeah. So she helps. If you like, say you're a foreigner, she's the one that helps you try to find properties that are for sale and stuff like that. Wow. She does all that stuff like that. Nice. So being a real estate or agent in the Philippines, 10 times easier than being one in California.
Is
it?
For
sure, yeah.
Because you have a lot of foreigners out there who are looking to buy property.
Looking to buy property, but all of that, there's a lot of specific guidelines and stuff like that where it's a lot easier to purchase a home in the Philippines than it is here.
Gotcha. Okay.
On a finance aspect side of it, yeah.
Alrighty, and then who's next on your list?
Who's next? My grandmother. I have my sister, my grandmother, my mother. She taught me patience. And the reason why she taught me patience, there's a lot. She taught me patience. Reason being because obviously she's my mother, but I always like to say go with the flow type of thing. And she always tells me that, she always tells me this quote. When times got rough or finances got rough or anything like that, I got tight, she always told me, don't worry, I'll figure it out. So every time she would tell me that, I would have no response. I'll be like, okay, yeah, I just have to accept it. She's the income person. Okay, right, I'll roll with it. I'll listen to it. And I was forced to be patient about it. And the more and more deeper I go, as far as being patient, is that I look at it a lot in my business aspect as far as being patient, as far as either whether it's signing another client on, or being patient in general, just in general, just being patient, because
just in life
in general, because going through that, I'm gonna touch a little bit on it, why it's teaching me so much patience, is because yes, she passed away last June, but what a lot of people don't know is that she was murdered. Okay, and with that, that taught me a lot as an individual myself. It's not, I'm not saying that, passing away from natural causes or cancer or anything like that is bad, or is less of a, I don't even know how to put it. Yeah. I'm not putting on the same thing, but when someone if their life's taken away by someone else, that's a different type of grievance for me, and I'm sure it is for a lot of people. It's just like literally something was taken away from you.
It's like it was never meant to happen.
Exactly.
And exactly. someone else to control.
Exactly. It was in someone else's hands. And the reason why that taught me patience is because I literally had to be patient with that. It's like I was looking at that time, when my business was struggling, I literally had to be patient. Because I don't know how to stem from that. It's just like it's literally like you just have to keep working, have to have high faith, and just keep pushing through. You have to be patient. You're gonna succeed one day. And I've been rolling with that ever since.
But you have that belief in your mind that you will succeed.
Yes.
Right, and that's important. You agree that's important?
Yes, very very important.
You have to believe in yourself first, right?
Before you have to be very patient.
Yeah.
Yes, like I said, going back on it, I doubled my business within 2 months. Yes, that's possible, but now that I am I'm more grounded. I'm more aware of my surroundings. I'm more aware of everything that's taught me. Again, going back on patience. Now I know I can move on smoothly from here. Without another roadblocks, whether if it's like me struggling with depression or anything like that. You know what I mean? So again, patience, very very key role. Patience.
That's important. Patience.
Yeah. Patience.
I'm learning that. I thought I learned it, but it's one of those things that you just have to be reminded of every time you run into things. Is just be patient. Just be patient.
Just be patient. It'll come if you keep working hard and doing what you gotta do, knowing your tasks, knowing the difference between busy work and progression work. Again, being patient again. things will fall into place.
Right.
It will.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And the next person?
Next person, my father told me a lot about hard work. I mean, he grew up, my grandpa Art, my dad's dad, he was in the Navy for 30 years. And so my dad grew up as pretty much a Navy brat, I guess, in a sense. So with that aspect, I mean, you know how servicemen work. They're very to the T, very organized, you know, and you put in your...
By the rule book.
By the rule book, and you put in your fucking work.
Yeah. And
that's what I learned from him, is a lot. It's you know, and I'm still learning consistency, you know, but you know, it's as time goes on, I'll learn more about consistency and whatnot. But as far as hard work goes, definitely I owe a lot of that to that man. Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah, because he's taught me a lot about you know, I remember hearing stories. I mean, I was really young at the time, but when I popped out, my parents had me really young, by the way. My mom was 20, I believe, and then my dad was 19 when they had me. And my dad was working 2 jobs while my mom stayed at home taking care of me. He worked 2 jobs. He would like literally he was working at Mervyn's and Thrifty's at the time. So he would put in, you know, an 8-hour workday at Mervyn's, I believe, in the morning, and then the rest of the day he would have an hour break in between, and then he would do 8-hour shift at Thrifty's.
Oh wow.
So it was literally 16-hour days.
Yeah, he was just left to sleep for a bit.
Yeah,
you know,
just enough to sleep and come home and pretty much eat, say hi to me,
spend whatever time,
and then go back to work at like I think 3 or 4 in the morning.
Wow.
So definitely hard work for sure, for sure.
And
last one is Amanda Zito, my mentor. Definitely an amazing woman. I feel like she's like a angel sent, for sure. And I know she hates being called, like when I tell her that she's like my angel or anything like that, she hates it. But definitely without her, a lot of who I am today is a lot of from that woman within that 8-month span that she's been here for me.
So from when your mom passed,
she's always been a really good support, because not only does she know the general idea of my business, or you know, she's been a client with my business for about 4 years, but she knows the ins and outs, and she knows how to, you know, help and, you know, help me,
help you grow,
help me grow and stuff like that. Right. So it's definitely a necessity as far as owning your own business, is having a mentor, or even a coach. There's one person I didn't put on the list, which is David Halpern. I'm not being paid to put his name on here or anything like that, but David Halpern, he's one of my business coach, and I highly suggest people to get a business coach or a life coach. And the reason for that, why I like him so much, is because in his practices in his business, is because he teaches mindset, which is actually more important than actually running a business on its own. You know,
you need to have the mindset to run a business, right?
I mean, yeah, anybody can run a business. I can teach my 12-year-old cousin how to run a business, and probably 18, by the time he's 18, he knows how to run a business. But does he know the back end side of how to, you know, mentally run a business? No, probably not.
Time to deal with the stresses.
Exactly.
You know, the challenges,
and all that stuff, judgment, all that stuff.
Yeah.
All that crap. Wow. Definitely.
That's important.
Definitely. Mindset, mentoring, very important. So again, those are my top 5. For sure. Yeah.
Wow, that's some good information. I'm sure a lot of people would, you know, be able to learn from this conversation we're having.
For sure.
If you had a billboard and you can put anything on it, it could be business related, it could just be a quote, whatever it is you want to put. What would it say, or what would it be?
Wow. You know what? I probably won't put a quote or anything like that. I would just have a simple white billboard, and in black, probably Times New Roman, I'll just say "spread love" on it, as a simple reminder, whoever sees it, just to, you know, just spread love to everybody.
Spread love. Can you elaborate on that so the audience understands what you mean by it?
Well, it kind of goes back. It kind of goes on my core values as a person, and you know, obviously there's a lot of more good people than bad people in the world. But as far as spreading love, like literally, love is like the kind of like an epicenter of what things stem from, you know, in any concept that you put it. So if you were, you know, like I said, if you're be kind to people, be respectful to people, you know, and spread love, and then do little, you know, acts of kindness here and there for random people, then knowing that you made an impact and kind of catered to the whole spread love idea, then it'd be a better place. Honestly, it'd be a way better place. You know, like A lot of that stems from, obviously my mom's passing and whatnot and everything like that. But definitely spread love, always. Always. So like I said, again, just a reminder to everybody, not necessarily on the business aspect, I don't give a rat's ass about, promoting my business on Billboard or anything like that. But I think more of a impact statement would just be spread love, just as a daily reminder for anybody, and just a daily commuter, going to work or school or whatever.
Right.
Definitely.
I think that doesn't. I'm kind of envisioning seeing a billboard that says "spread love." To me, I'd be like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Exactly.
Like they're not trying to sell anything; they're just making a statement.
Just making a statement. That's all it is. And
I think we need more of that.
Yeah, we do. A lot of people need to find their purpose in the world, and I feel like one of my purposes in the world is just keep spreading love to everybody, and hope that everyone else can do the same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why we started this channel, right?
Yeah.
So you can get your story out there, right? And hopefully help some people who are facing some challenges. Okay.
You're not alone.
So now we'll get into shameless plug. We'll talk about your business.
Okay.
So the people who are watching kind of understand what your company does, right?
Sounds good.
What kind of services you offer.
Okay.
What does ResCorp Marketing do? What kind of services does it offer?
ResCorp
what industry
Marketing.
does it tailor to?
Okay. We started off in the real estate industry. We still do the real estate industry. That's one of our platforms that we kind of excel in right now. So pretty much what we do, we offer inside sales agents and virtual assistants. So pretty much you can go through me and hire an inside sales agent or a virtual assistant to help you expand your business in any way, shape, or form. For the real estate industry specifically, let's say, an inside sales agent, they're pretty much just cold calling and prospecting for you, trying to generate leads for you as far as buyer seller leads, whatnot, for realtors. Also offer a virtual assistant who pretty much does, what assistant does for you: administration tasks, clerical tasks, social media managing, all of that stuff.
Anything that you would need help with.
Yeah, exactly.
You can pass it on.
So they're pretty much versatile people. They're very universal. You can use them in any business format, whatever, so forth. I helped a buddy last week as far as his gym. He just opened a gym in Upland. Clothing brands, anything, food. If you need a virtual assistant, just let me know. Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we also do photography and video. Obviously, that's where Carlo comes in and does all of our media.
We added production to his marketing company, and I take care of that stuff.
Yeah.
So if ever you need any production stuff,
definitely let us know.
You let us know, and we can help
we'll take care of it for you. Yeah. So we're kind of, like I said, we start off in the real estate industry, but I'm slowly trying to branch out into other industries as well. So
Gotcha.
I'm trying to make it more of just a marketing in general type of company, not just dedicated just to one platform.
Right. So you start in the real estate and then branch off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And for my last question for Alan is, what advice do you have for someone starting in the entrepreneurship world, or like wanting to start their own business, or freelance, or pretty much be able to own their own time?
Yes.
Like, what advice would you give them?
What advice? I don't know where I learned this quote from. It stems from like way back when, before I even got into the entrepreneur world. But never take advice from somebody that you wouldn't trade places with.
What do you mean by that?
There's a lot of people that can give advice to you, but just know their nature, their background, or whatnot. Just be more aware of it. If it like, is it credible? That's the biggest thing. Is it credible? Is it credible?
What's an example?
You
don't have to say names or anything.
Yeah.
Just an example. So I myself understand a little more, and they understand what you're trying to say.
Taking advice from a business owner who's not a business owner.
Gotcha.
Anything of that nature. Just relate any aspect, any concept. Just never take advice from someone that you wouldn't trade places with.
Gotcha.
Because simply, if you can't see yourself trading places with them, then you shouldn't be taking advice from them. If you don't want to live in their shoes, you shouldn't be taking advice from them.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good advice. That's good advice.
Definitely.
Very good advice.
Probably most entrepreneurs in this oversaturated entrepreneurship nowadays probably just give you some bullshit fucking motivational quote.
Like your most standard.
Yeah, your most standard shit. Like, work hard, don't sleep. And it's like, no, dude. Yeah. Work how you want to work. It's like, another thing is like, is a lot of people don't know how to be an individual.
Yeah.
It's like they stem, there's a lot of things that, when they go into entrepreneurship, it's just like, he's driving the Ferrari, he's driving the Porsche, blah, blah, blah. I want to be like that. They see the angle. But half the shit that you don't see is that a lot of those people on Instagram are probably renting out those cars. Yeah. I'm not going to name any names, but they rent out cars for their photo shoots, try to make it bigger than it really is. But, be real, be authentic, be an individual, stand up for your personal beliefs. You don't have to chase and be that millionaire. I think being a true entrepreneur is living within your style, your standards, not someone else's standards.
And I feel like that's why people become an entrepreneur, is because they want to live life on their own terms.
Exactly,
right?
on your own
their
terms. So why not live that to the fullest? As far as elaborating more on that, is do it your way.
Yeah. If you want to, if you need to sleep for 10 hours a day,
exactly,
then you sleep for 10 hours a day.
Go for it.
But then you get your hustle on.
You get your hustle on. You just got to be aware, and you got to be careful. Is that you have to realize that you don't get a constant form of income 9 to 5 thing. You're constantly working. You're constantly, your phone needs to be on.
Yeah. But that's how you start working. 14-hour days because of that, right? But
enjoy it.
I feel like you enjoy. Our purpose for this channel, so you guys understand, is to kind of just get behind the business person. Essentially a millennial business person, like Alan, for example. We didn't really talk about his business, but we talked a lot about who he is as a person and where he came from and why he is the way he is today. And hopefully we got some stuff across. Please don't be too harsh on us. This is our first episode, and we're gonna figure out the kinks along the way.
I don't care. Be harsh with me.
Be harsh. I mean, we need to be critiqued.
I don't care about being harsh with me. I can take it.
But we need the critique.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
In order to be able to grow.
Yeah, because I'll just probably just put all those bad comments into my shit box of shit, and I'm just not gonna worry about it. So I don't really care.
Alrighty, and so to kind of end this. I'm going to list a few things that I took away from this. You guys might have other things that you've taken away, but this is what I've got so far from this conversation. One of them is being able to understand your mind, your thought process. Like how to channel negative energy into positive energy. How to channel that negative stuff into a driving force to push you forward instead of holding on to it and just not being able to progress because of that negative energy. Two is finding a circle of influence or building one. Have people who you look up to, essentially, to help you along the way in your life journey, essentially through business and life. They say the top 5 people in your life you spend your time with are the people who influence you the most.
Exactly.
So build one of those. That's important. Finding a business/life coach or mentor, either one or the other, or both if you can. But
that's huge.
To me, I feel like it's important.
That's very important.
You vouch for it. What is it?
My business coach, David Halpern, and then my mentor, Manizio.
And like you're walking proof that helps, right?
Huge.
And then
definitely huge.
Another takeaway for me is learning how to develop a positive mindset. I guess that's a part of channeling negative energy by turning negative into positive. I guess that goes hand in hand.
Definitely.
But that's what I got from it, and hopefully whatever you guys get from it, leave it in the comments so we know what you guys took away from our
or if
first
you want
episode.
to see any like questions or anything, like if you want to hear like specific questions or touch a little bit base on like in general, any questions that we can kind of work with and kind of include into our future episodes later down the line.
Yeah, that's perfect. If you have any questions that you want us to ask our future entrepreneurs that we interview, leave them in the comments, and we can ask that in the future.
Hopefully, more videos to come in the near future, and we're gonna try to be as consistent as possible on this. And we have a whole database of of other millennial entrepreneurs that we have, and if you guys happen to be one, or you're watching this video, or if you know anyone that owns their own business and is a millennial and they have a really good background, and we would love to hear it. Definitely love to hear it. Love hearing beautiful stories and whatnot. So it's good.
All right.
Sweet. Thanks, dude.
That's it. Yeah. All right.
Who'd have known?
This is a lot harder.
This is a lot harder than I
But
thought.
I know, like 2-3 episodes in,
We'll get the flow.
yeah.
We'll get that fluidity
This is
going.
figuring everything out.
Right now we're stagnant.
Yeah, right now it's
Creating our own pool.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, action.
Hey guys, fuck.
Fuck is right.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Hey guys, fucking bitch. I keep fucking thinking of the stupid buttery
How do you like it so far? I think it's good.
Yeah,
This
it was good. It was good. It was a good starting point for
Yeah.
sure. We'll get better at it later down the line.
Yeah,
For
it's
sure.
definitely a learning experience.
Learning curve.
But this is gonna help so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lightheaded. I'm like trying to talk. I'm like out of breath.
I'm just like nicked out, bro.
Yeah, it's a good.
Got nicked.
Yeah.